the play work every time. And when you start to get behind, those plays working out gets less and less likely, right? And then you can kind of have one of those 0-7 Renekton games or whatever. But to me, it hasn't just been about perks. It's been about Cloud9's inability to actually snowball early games, right? That has been some of their kind of greatest strength for a couple of years now. And in summer, they have just not really looked like that same kind of super dominant, super proactive team. They're playing a lot of games where their opponents are sometimes actually making more moves on the map than they are. And it feels like they are sitting back a little bit more. And I do think, I would be remiss to not mention the fact that the loss of Sven, I think, was a serious hit, right? Yes. I think King is good. I do not think he has performed anywhere near as good as Sven has over the last couple of years. This is a guy who was one of, if not the best, arguably, marksman in the league. And as a result, they always felt like they were kind of passively winning bot lane. Sometimes they're getting kills. And at the very least, it felt like they almost always had the push, which allowed Vulcan to move around the map.
Right.
We can see there's a pause for a bug investigation. We'll update you as we find out more.
I was told ETA 2 minutes about 10 seconds ago.
Okay,
so
perfect.
a minute 50.
All right, well,
if my math is...
we'll continue talking then.
Yeah, we will for about a minute 50, and then when the game resumes, we will
also continue talking. Then.
Yeah, it's great.
Funny how that works.
Oh, strange.
Yeah.
Who could have thought? If you'd rather listen in Spanish language, that's out, twitch.tv/FlyQuest.
It is.
If you'd rather have other people talk to you, League Day is doing leagueday.live, I believe is the URL, is doing the audio-only cast, so bring those back out. If you'd rather watch Hooney's paused screen, you can check out ProView, yeah. Although in this case, the free one would be the junglers. But you could pay to watch
for a
Hooney's
pause stream.
Yeah, exactly.
Which that's a unique taste, right?
It is unique taste. Yeah. Look, you don't get enough gray screens when you play League of Legends, so when League is paused, it also turns gray.
True.
So you get the at-home experience of your screen constantly being
incredible stuff. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
really insightful. Back to the Vulcan discussion. I think when you're winning bot lane less, there are less moves being actually made, and this is not to just pin this all on King. I think he's played well, but he has not been dominant, right? And
he's not the best AD carry in the league.
Their bot lane was dominant, and this is a situation where I just feel like it's less about what that means for how King team fights. I think he does well. It's just unlocking Vulcan, who has been, one of the best supports, if not the best support in the league. Most people will say, okay, it's Vulcan or KroiJJ. Depends which side of the coin you're on.
Maybe Huhi, but still, he's clearly top, right?
But he's incredible, and the ability for him to get out of lane and actually group up with Blabber, make plays towards mid lane, make plays around the map, to me was one of the critical parts of them snowballing the games, and it feels like that has happened much less in summer.
Yeah.
And, I am really of the opinion that is because their laning is just not as strong, and that does take time to actually, build up and kind of get to that level. Obviously, King came in somewhat surprisingly, whereas, Vulcan and Sven have been playing together for a while, and even prior to the first split that they played together, if I recall correctly, they actually boot camped the offseason in Korea and spam duo queue to build synergy for the season. So this is something where it's maybe going to take them some time. Maybe they can get back to that level, but as of right now, it just doesn't feel the same that I kind of have felt about Cloud9 over the last couple of years, where it's like they're going to challenge you, they're going to be aggressive, they're going to be proactive, they're going to make plays happen. And I just don't have that same confidence that they can do it every time, which is why when I see a draft like this, I'm a little bit like, oh, I don't know if that's the one you want. If this is you last year, I think you're going to snowball the game. This year, I don't know. Are you going to?
Right, because looking at this game in particular, just to even tunnel in on it, it's like, okay, well, normally what it's going to look like based on the draft is, okay, well, Fudge's the same, Blabber's the same, Sven's the same, or not Sven, sorry, Perk's the same, right? So those three are still doing that, right?
Yeah.
Syndra's dominant, Jace is dominant, obviously Blabber's will look pretty good with the tower dive in as well. So it's like, okay, that top triangle should be good to go. But a lot of what can help that happen is when your Nautilus can roam out of bot to make sure Victor is just under his turret the whole time. Yeah. If he's challenging and Nautilus hooks him, he's just dead. So okay, we're really giving Perks all the lane, which means Perks gets to shove first and go top. Oh, look, the game plan works, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like, well, when you're under turret against Lulu Cog, because, well, my Ezreal doesn't land as many Q pokes as Sven does, right? And it's like, if Lulu's at half because we land a bunch of Mystic shots, oh, well, now you can throw it all in. Oh, now we have lane control. Oh, now Nautilus goes mid. Oh, now Perks is control. Oh, now Perks goes top. That all cascades. That is how League of Legends work at the top level. Now, if you want to be screw it, enjoy living under turret, hope Synja doesn't die for you, and you run mid, sure, you could do that. But a good player calls, hey, Nautilus is defending this guy's turret. He's in mid, careful.
You have no river control.
And you have the river control. You've denied Ezreal off the turret. You got 2 plates. You got no farm. Oh, look, that was a bad roam. And it's like, okay, these things all matter. Even down to oh, I landed through Mystic shots, so my Nautilus can roam, so my mid can go top.
Yeah.
Sometimes that happens.
And there's so much stuff at the pro level about bot lane too, which is really about like the pace at which you push the waves, right? Because so much of it is actually about stacking waves so that your opponents can't trade back into you, about controlling and kind of like curating how you're going to crash the wave. Do you want to crash it immediately and just bounce the wave back to you and then freeze? Do you want to slow push and build a wave so that they can't trade into you and then try to zone them off? Do you want to, try to freeze the wave and then step past it to like actually play for that? So there's so many little ways and where even, like over attacking the wave can really mess up the plan. And it can be these minor things like less obvious than are you hitting your skill shots or not there, bud?
Right.
Where it's just like, oh, you actually just autoed the wave a few too many times and now it's going to crash at an earlier timing than we wanted. And that can kind of mess up the pace of the game. And that's one of those things that can be really hard to see unless you sit there and you watch the pro views and you understand when you're watching these really incredible laners play against each other and you're watching these 2v2s, it's like, well, why are they so down on farm? And then you watch it from the side that's losing, and it feels like they never had an opportunity to even go for the wave.
Yeah. And that's one of the difficult things to, like, review really top players. Like, almost anyone can right-click a minion. Like, that's generally not very hard. And, like, okay, sure, I might not last hit as well as someone else. Okay, whatever. But, like, a lot of why these things work are, to your point, it's the decision-making where it's like, oh, no, I wanna play this lane as, like, a third-wave crash because, like, I know my jungler's going to do, like, 3 camps and come dive, and I call my mid laner to do, 3 waves and dive because mid lane crashes first, so that timing is available. And it's like, hey, but if we're not the advantageous jungle, if we're not the advantageous mid, this isn't the right play. Like, Jace Lee Sin looks different when you're not Syndra mid. And it's like, you had to know that beforehand before you ever watched Fudge and be like, well, I played the lane like him. Why didn't I get a kill? It's like, well, because your mid laner was, I don't know, I'm trying to think of like a weak laner, like Anivia. Sorry, Anivia's not tower diving that, right? She's actually under her turret against Victor. You don't get to do that kind of stuff. And it's like, oh, so, okay, check that one off the list. Okay, what about the next mid lane matchup? Set versus Renekton. I have no idea who wins that push in Set versus Renekton. Like, I don't know. I'm sure other good players will, but it's like, well, you have to know that matchup too. You know mid lane matchups to play your top lane.
And in solo queue, is your teammate even going to make
No!
a move, right? They're just going to stay in lane and then question mark ping you when you lose. So it's definitely a different beast altogether when you're playing solo queue 2 Pro. But the bug investigation is continuing on. Obviously, we'd like to get back in the game as quickly as possible. Hopefully that will happen. Fudge is nodding along. He agrees.
Yeah,
he
thanks,
wants
Fudge.
to get back in the game, too. We appreciate you.
He's winning lane. He gets to play Jace.
That's true.
Jace with jungle pressure from his team. That's like the funnest champion League of Legends.
Yep. Well, arguable.
It is arguable.
Yeah.
I would say being like level 16 KL feels pretty good too.
Yeah, exactly.
That's up there.
Sometimes it's just fun being on the side that doesn't really have to do anything. You're just kind of chilling. You're like, well,
being
we have
Abaddon's
late,
Lee Sin
you know,
from last game.
Well, there's that. But I was looking at more of like, you're on TSM. You're playing Lulu Cog. Just relax. Sit back. Click on some minions. You'll get a pentakill later on, no problem.
Just ward the jungler, see what's going on, and you're good. So I've got some lines to read as we continue to investigate that in-game bug. We're going to send it over to the analyst desk for more on this matchup because they haven't talked enough about this game.
True.
Well read, Freak. I don't have any lines to read, so I'm just going to dive into it. We heard you all wanted to hear us talk some more on the desk, so we politely asked the players to pause. No, there's an investigation around a vision bug happening on stage centered around a control ward, and League officials are attempting a chrono break currently. So as that plays back through the game up to the current point, we get a chance to talk about the way it's all broken down. Again, right off the top, when we were looking at Champion Select, across the board, all of the analysts agreed favor towards TSM and how they had drafted. And so far within the game, it seems to also be playing slightly to their favor as well.
It's close. I mean, I think you see some of the advantages going for C9 with like the priority that they can try and make, but the plays haven't quite come together yet. And I think TSM hit kind of bread and butter in a lot of ways when you think about when TSM's really try-harding, they're not experimenting, trying to learn new picks in the meta. It's like control mage, scaling on their side, as well as some front-to-back team fighting. And, Huni is still on a champion that has agency. It's not a totally crazy one, but Lee Sin can make things happen. So overall, I think when I look at the TSM draft, I'm like, this is what I think they should be playing generally.
Well, and also I feel like it's a good idea to get everyone involved early, right? So like that dive top lane could have gone just slightly better if they just waited a tiny bit for perks, I think. Huni probably wouldn't have been able to get that trade kill there. And I think that was kind of an unfortunate thing that happened with that dive. And I think you see both sides, right? You see that TSM's comp, I do think, just ends up winning out at a certain point in the game. However, C9 are trying to make those early proactive plays with Vision Zhao.
They're definitely trying, but I think to your point about maybe a few more things could have gone right
Just
in that turret dive.
Slightly.
Right?
It's just like a slight timing
It
thing.
puts an emphasis on the clock that it feels like Cloud9 is on, where they are going to have to generate that lead. And every time you make a minimal error like that to make it not so clean a play, it's going to work against you when it comes to the amount of time you have before TSM ultimately outscales and overcomes.
I mean, you look at that Rift Herald fight that happened, and even though no kills went down, it was already kind of going in TSM's favor.
The
Spica had
volibear damage?
He had a fatty ult.
Oh, God. I was not expecting him to do that much damage early on.
I mean, the one plus side from that was that when Lost flashed in, he actually couldn't finish off the Syndra, didn't get any kills, and now you kind of blew the summoners on the bot lane, and you have the casters talking about, like, this might be a weakness.
That's where we're at right now.
Yeah, so we'll have to see if C9 can still use that post-Chrono Break to snowball the game, because that's probably the best avenue they have, because otherwise you're looking at these Rift Herald fights, and you're like, okay, C9's comp doesn't really flank, doesn't really have great ways to get to the Kog'Maw. You have a Jace, you have a Syndra, you could argue, you know, you can still fight front to back, but you want to kill the Kog'Maw, and if it's behind a Volibear and a Lee Sin, it's not easy.
Yeah, different story if you're the team with the Volibear or the Lee Sin going after the Kog'Maw, or a Gnar in the top lane who can flank and get a good ultimate, but in this case, you just simply don't really have that option. Now, it appears that the Chrono Break has resolved our bug, and the players are ready to get back in the game.
Woo.
Get me out of here.
Yeah.
You heard it from
Peace
Mark.
out.
Get him out of here. Casters, back over to you.
Okay, thank you very much. Hello, we are back yet again. I have been tossed to by Dash so many times today now. It just keeps happening. He just keeps saying it's over to us. Yeah, thanks. Back. Nah, we want to keep it here. We're gonna cast some games. I don't want to get paused again. Yes, so for what we understand, we have Chrono broken back to the point. The game is ready to resume, and indeed we shall. Woo! 14 CS lead in mid. Overall 700 gold lead to Cloud9 as Perkz and Power People do battle in the mid lane. Top advantage, mid advantage, both on the C9 side. Even up 3 camps for Blabber as well, so that's going to feel very good. But we still care a lot about what Cog Lulu does as time goes on for TSM's bot lane.
Absolutely going to be a concern there. It's also interesting to see the Zeal rush here from Lost.
Yeah.
I wonder if he's just going to go towards like an instant PD. I mean, back in the day, people used to always kind of go more for the Hurricane style, but I haven't really seen that much of like the Zeal item rush in a long time. Most ADs. Oh.
Okay, kick flash puts Fudge, and he's going to flash Q back out. The slows could be pretty dangerous. Volibear over the top, and Spica kills him. But be careful, because Blabber and Perkz are here for reinforcements. Huni, we know he's flashless, has nowhere to hop to. Cloud9 get the trade kill. Spica on his way out. It was basically flash for flash of top laners. Perkz' ult gets himself a kill.
I mean, it's a great play from Perkz to be able to actually make this roam play, to answer with the TP, to be winning his lane, have TP advantage, get up there. But there's a cost, right? And this is the cost that we're seeing right now. It's not as though that farm is going nowhere. He had a pretty big lead over PoE. Now PoE gets a play. He gets to crash the wave, have a free base, reset, have the wave pushing back to him. We'll see if Vulcan wants to try to delay this. I think he will, yeah.
Yep, gets that one, and a good Q backwards. Not really going I mean, it's not going to matter. Ultimately, PoE's not going to kill the man anytime soon. But look at this, the bottom lane. Yeah, Nautilus walked mid. It cascades. 3 turret plates taken to the bot side. That means so much more than the 6 CS lead for a Kog'Maw. He's super rich compared to King.
Yeah, absolutely. He is getting really a big advantage down there. So we can watch this one more time. Nicely set up, honestly, by Huni. Kick flash in onto Fudge. Fudge flashes, then jumps back to Huni, trying to create as much space as possible, but not able to close enough distance there to get away. But as Perkz does arrive, Huni's always going to go down here. Spica able to walk out. And maybe Blabber could have actually just tried to target Spica and allow Perkz to just go for that Lee Sin kill. Either way, I don't think he'll get the second kill. So it's still going to be a good play for TSM because you trade 1 for 1, but it costs the TP of C9. They actually lose a mid lane plate. Then Vulcan roams the cover. You lose plates on the bot side. So they do lose across the map there. They are ahead in gold, but it's only 300-400, and you take the composition into consideration, you think that TSM is just winning.
Yeah, it is Phantom Dancer Rush, by the way. First item for Lost here.
Makes
Obviously
sense.
a very, very strong item. Going to wait for a Mythic and build something else down the line. Mid lane crash isn't going to land through. I believe actually a full 3 plates got taken from that, or it was like 1 hit shy and a minion took the last plate, which means no one gets credit. Either way, still 300 something gold, maybe 4 something. Regardless, Yeah, eventually it's going to drop. It should be below 1K. Oh, it is? Okay, it's still at 1K and 4 health. So it was only 2 plates taken. Fair enough. Minion did not get the last little bit, but it means Perks can walk up and earn 160 gold at some point in time.
I don't know if he can, though, because the wave flare at this point is kind of too strong, right?
Yeah.
You don't just want to walk in with Victor hitting you and then get gravity shielded under and,
yeah,
and int over a silly kill.
Wow.
That is a weird TP, but I guess he's just nervous about the dive. Maybe he thought Volibear's already behind him, so he TPs. Yeah, exactly. That's what it was. So he assumed Volibear was in that brush, so he TPs to the tier 1 to just get back there, but not just straight up int it.
Yeah.
Allow him to time out his arrival in topside with Blabber, so he would be safe here. So far, pretty back and forth game, but TSM have the ability to play it slow, and C9 have got to start to create some of these side lane advantages. You can see Vulcan is out of lane here, but the cost of him kind of moving out of lane is likely that bot tier 1 is just going to go down to Cog Lulu, right? They're just sacking that to actually have Vulcan move. They know that there's pressure on them to make aggressive plays.
Yep.
But the problem is, because they're not actually winning on the bottom side, now look how behind Ezreal's going to be. I don't know if we can see the gold, but that's a pretty significant advantage. It's 800 gold or so already.
Yeah, and I mean, it's Cloud9 playing to their stronger side. Now going to be another fight in the top as Fudge in a 1v2. Huge damage. Huni kick, follows the Q, gets the kill. Nicely done. No turret killed in top or mid. King maybe out of the turret once or twice, but I don't think he got a plate for it. And now TSM have a 1,000 gold lead, a ton of money on Lost Kog'Maw, and they're ready to go into the mid game.
Yep. C9 have looked for some plays, but they just haven't really got that much from it. And if you don't have winning lanes, then when you make a move for a play, there's a huge cost to that. Bot lane has been losing in the 2v2. They make a move with the Vulcan. They lose the tower straight up. They're down in farm. This Ezreal is going to really, I think, have a difficult time being very effective in this game. And Fudge is now, sitting on 0-3. He has the couple assists, but 2 of those kills have actually gone to Huni. So there's not even a gold lead up there. In fact, he's down 300 plus gold, so he's not even going to be really that much of a split push threat. If Jace is not ahead of the Lee Sin can kind of just chill and wave clear forever. There's no threat of that dive, so it's getting difficult to see where Cloud9 are going to really find their advantages other than just set up for a pick, right? Try to control vision, look for a Nautilus hook, look for a Scatter the Weak, try to zero someone out, and that puts a lot of pressure on Perks and Vulcan.
It does. And it's interesting because, the very beginning of the game, I'm like, okay, Cloud9 have a game plan, right? They're going to have mid-top prio and use that. That's how they're going to play the game out. They're going to be down a bit of farm. They might lose a plate or 2, but whatever. The game won't be about 5v5s if Cloud9 gets their way. And I'm, okay, cool, I see that. Right? We're just playing around the J split push. Okay, sure, whatever. But TSM have done such a good job of attacking that lane back that even though Jace has been winning the lane, he's been getting the most help. He's won 0-3 and 2, and Huni's the one at 2-2 and 1.
Yep. And Blabber really just hasn't been there, right? It's actually been Spica that's getting more done. Yes, Blabber is up in farm. Yes, they had that one dive. But Spica's got a couple of kills in addition to the one assist that Blabber also has, so it just doesn't really matter. The thing with Jace is, to win lanes as Jace, you've got to play aggressive. And playing aggressive means exposing yourselves to ganks. Lee Sin can set up these plays, can go for the kicks in. And if you're in that extended lane, Volibear can show up very easily as well. So this has kind of been the problem. If you're not being covered and you are going for a pushing lane and trying to dominate, well, there's a big cost to that. They're trying to make a play on this bottom side, though, looking for a potential dive.
TP comes down. Power of Evil does have to flash to get away as Jace and Syndra could have put on a lot of pressure. Ultimately, okay, teleport for flash. It's maybe mini wave denied. Nah, it's PoE safe to walk back to the bottom lane and claim it. I don't think Perks has lethal pressure with a full health Victor available, and Merc Tread's done, so he's not a viable target. And on the other side of the map, okay, C9 tried the aggressive play. It doesn't get them much of anything. TSM make the easy reactive play. Had the members top side, they grab the Rift Herald. No contest there, claimed easily.
Yep, going to be able to grab that for themselves. They've already taken out the bottom outer, the top outer. The mid outer is about half health, so that's pretty much one Rift Herald is going to kill that off. So they should be able to secure the last of the remaining outer towers here. Perk's still in a good position. Does have a lot of strength here on this Syndra at this point in the game. Has the rank 2 ultimate. Mythic is completed, so a lot of burst available if he could find an angle to get onto the Victor or the Cog.
Decent Q lands Arcane Shift, well timed. Not going to go for any more than that. Huni, if he could have control ward hopped, flashed, done the thing, but it gets reacted to, so doesn't go for the play into King here. Instead, we get the Rift Herald summon in mid, and that's going to be all 3 outer towers down for TSM as the second Drake of the game spawns. Cloud9 did get the first. Huni was able to get the local gold, walked up in time to get plus 300 onto him. And now we look at the bottom river. It's Cloud9 backing away. They did get at least top lane pressure. This is what a lot of teams, even all around the world, will get wrong. They will not do anything else. They'll sit there waiting for Dragon to die and be like, oh, they got the Dragon. Oh, we didn't get anything. But they said, okay, Fudge's TP, doesn't matter. He's staying top lane. He's getting the turret kill. Cloud9 gets something back for it. Just TSM got more.
Yep, I always just say commit one way or the other, right? You pick one of two routes. Contest Dragon, don't contest Dragon. The middle road is absolutely the worst option. If you're not going to fight for Dragon, don't even bother showing up. Just hard push on that side wave. Power of Evil, no flash. She is probably dead to rights here. We'll see.
Yep. Ults the wave to knock it down a bit faster. And here comes the rest of the chase. You know he has no damage to kill anyone. He didn't expect to get the kill. Vulcan walks back to never have a chance of stealing it. Perks gets kill number 3. So good job there. The amount of money for that kill is worth about what the mid lane turret gives in gold, but of course the net pressure can mean a whole lot more. The game state is tied gold-wise.
I like that they give it to Perks. He's already kind of ahead of the curve. He's their strongest member. And Syndra is one of these champions where if you can hit this specific kind of threshold of damage, if you can get enough ahead of the curve of the game, then Lulu's shield doesn't just stop your burst, right? Like if you can get so strong that you can one combo a cog, then the scaling doesn't necessarily matter if you can kind of find that angle, and that's what they're really trying to accomplish here because they know they are in a tough spot. But if Perks can 100-0 one of these carries, well, all of a sudden the compositional disadvantages are not really relevant.
No. But mid lane's under attack right now, and Cloud9 feel like they have a fair bit of pressure. The wave clear is not outstanding on TSM. As King and Perks walk up, W auto, Chunk goes the turret. 2-3 now the score as far as that's concerned. Bot lane still mostly untouched, but they've got mid and top back.
And we've seen some scrappy games where teams split push it out. You know, even looking to TSM, right? The other day they played that game against Immortals where they had Huni just hard committed to the split push. They couldn't win 5v5s against the Zig composition anymore, but they played the side waves. They split it out. They were able to win. And Cloud9 can look for that sort of scrappy play here too. Fudge is very heavily just committing to playing in these side lanes. I don't think that they're going to be able to win most reasonable 5v5s unless you can kind of find an angle to really get in onto Lost. But they don't have a lot of explosiveness as far as they're engaged. There is the Nautilus, but there's not exactly that X factor of like a Gragas or a Lee displacing the marksman and putting him into a bad spot, or that really super powerful flank that could come through and kill someone off.
So we keep farming for now. Still 2.5 minutes to the next Dragon spawns. Not close to Soul on either side. And even though Cloud9 got the first, TSM had been the one with control and they got the second. So maybe they keep that stat going. Mountain Soul would feel real good for a Kog'Maw. Honestly, that's going to do so much to just prevent the burst from mattering. If your damage is few and far between, like with a Jace, the shield comes back, so you nullify a lot of that. So if it's really infrequent poke, Mountain actually is a good anti-poke soul. And similarly, if Syndra's only going after you once in a while and the shield's up, it's also good anti-Syndra soul.
I also wonder how defensive loss is going to go. You know, I'm expecting shield bow second, but I have seen on ladder a lot of actually just like rando-in cogs and things like that, where they're just like, I have too much health, you can no longer kill me, right? And the base damages are such that it doesn't really matter. You don't need to optimize your build for that. You don't need an IE or anything crazy because you have a Lulu behind you. You have an incredible amount of damage. And there's also a lot of damage coming out of the Victor, plus their top side, which is pretty strong at this point too. You know, it's a Divine Thunder or Volley. It's not full tank, so wouldn't mind that, and we'll see if he does end up going for it. I do think that, you know, Wit's End third here could make a lot of sense against a super strong Syndra. Maybe even just building up some flat HP could be pretty valuable here too with something like the Randomins.
The nice thing is he functionally has a lot of flat HP already, right? With the shield bow shield, with Lulu's Guardian plus E plus R. So if you're just doing like the generic math, you shouldn't need more raw health. You should be skewing towards defensive stats. I mean, Random's only has like 250 health on it. Like it's mostly a raw armor item. So it's part of why the item feels so good. Even if you're not getting crit very much, it's still just the most armor you can get in a slot outside of a Frozen Heart. So it makes sense even in that context. So that can look really, really good. We're 1 minute away now from the next Dragon as we can start stacking Mountain Drakes, for either team, really. If you get a run, you're 60 minutes away from Mountain Soul. It's not terrible. Right now, Cloud9 has to respect the fact that Baron is under fire, and Lost is going to melt this thing fast. Walk through mostly Fog of War, but Vulcan seems to know. Sword Art waiting around. The fact that the Guardian shield popped, they can see that, means they absolutely know Baron is being attacked right there. Able to come in time, but TSM went for that punch, and that means...
looking for a pick.
Vulcan, he doesn't know they're in this brush. This is... Wow. He did have reinforcement. They were far away. That was maybe a possibility. and TSM flinch though, but they have no control of the bottom side now. This is a Drake probably given away to Cloud9 off of the risk to go for the Baron. Hook's gonna land, they want this fight. Well, they one-shot the Lulu. Syndra makes it so. Sword Art can't press a single button, but Volibear comes right back in. Trade support for support, and now the front line is getting dangerous. Blabber goes right back in, wants Huni, kicks in the squad. Jace's days are numbered, and it's a 1-for-1, but Kog'Maw is not dead. The important part is that Lost is alive. They don't find the next bit of engage, but Perk still being alive makes this really tough to deal with a 3v3 on the map. Cloud9 feeling comfortable.
It is that 2-for-2 at the end of the day. They're trading back and forth as TPs come through from the top laners. The flash being used by Lost as he was over the wall and wanted to get involved. He shifts in, but then he shifts in on top of the Kog'Maw, immediately has to flash back out.
Yeah.
So he is now missing a pretty key summoner there. But TSM TPing, they want to stop this potential dragon, but
This will be tough.
can they actually get over here?
Spica won't be in smite range in time if they burn it, but they don't know for sure where the positioning is. They could have burned it and gotten the smite. They didn't know that, though. It's in range. They're going to knock this one down. But how about the rest of it? Blabber knows he is going to die. They're going to leave him alone. I don't believe that
Back to
means
Baron.
Baron, but they can try.
No, they're going to go for sure. With your TPing back in, there's immediate pings onto it. Jungler is down. You can always turn, right? But threaten it. They have a pretty beefy front line. You have the shields there of Lulu, and you have the damage to actually knock this down very quickly with Kog. So I think they should threaten this, and at the very least, force Cloud9 to show up. And they do get that TP out, and they're turning.
The kick flash is how they got it. That's how they get the turn. The engage tools were so few and far between, but Huni's the one who finds it. And suddenly now, 3 versus 5 without a Syndra. This is gonna be tough. A miracle play from the Lee Sin top, and TSM poised to grab it. No jungler. There's not even a true shot barrage. The most you can do is throw a Jace Q, not even gonna get that opportunity. Spica secures it. Absolutely beautiful counterpunch by TSM. They grab the Red Bull Baron.
And if you're C9, you get that sick feeling in your stomach seeing that go down. This was a really smart force. They picked off Flabber off of this. And this TP is just simply too far forward, right? You needed a TP probably a further back towards mid lane and then come in. And Huni makes him pay. Gets right on top of Perks as he arrives. The kick flash onto the Syndra, the strongest member of Cloud9. Without their jungler, without their mid laner, there was no shot at contesting. And TSM, they have the scaling advantage. They have a dragon, so Soul is not really in threat. And they have got everything going on right now. It's going to be Rage Blade third for Lost. He does pit stop for a stopwatch. Power of Evil also goes to stopwatch. I think this is super smart at this point where, you know, I was talking about how does Cloud9 win? It's like the Syndra one-shot.
Yep.
You can stopwatch the Syndra ultimate and it just gets fizzled, right? It takes the cooldown. The orbs don't do anything. They hit the stasis, so that makes their job even harder. Those are the 2 key targets that Cloud9 knows they've got to kill.
Yeah.
And it's getting really tough to do with a Lulu with exhaust sitting behind you and stopwatch available for both your carries.
True shot barrage. It's a cannon minion, nothing else. That's going to be on cooldown. If there is a C9 dive, they're missing a crucial cooldown for that fight. It might not matter anyway if they try to clear away this wave. It will not save the turret in time, though, and TSM get number 4.
It's gone too.
In the mid lane, we've got Huni. Yeah, no one's going to defend that one. Cloud9 running through the jungle. They're found out, though. Vulcan, yeah, anchors right back out. PoE ult, honestly, pretty reasonable. Gets some good poke. Perks in a half HP.
Yeah.
Mid lane outer is gone. Anchor in for Vulcan. Wants the stuns. Volibear ults away. Everyone stays alive. Blabber now in danger. Takes a lot of his health off, but everyone is at least going to survive this one. But we are burning cooldowns without so much as a kill. But it's not the champions that matter. It's the base that is falling around. C9, top and mid inhibitor turrets well below half HP, and the push is not done yet.
Yep, and Lost will heal right back to full off of this. He just steps up. Look at Sword Art's position, how far behind the Cog he is. He speeds him up. He's behind him so that he can never be the one to get engaged on first. If you try to jump onto the Cog, he gets shielded, he gets ulted, you get exhausted. That's good positioning, good stuff from TSM. Already 3 towers they have taken during this Baron. It's an exposed inhib on the top side, but they also need to know, you don't need to rush it, right? So they're not going to overextend. They're not going to give an opportunity for Cloud9 to be back to full health and trying to find that engage. TSM just extend their gold lead, pillage away the jungle, and will back it up and spend their gold. And that results in a full Rage Blade completed now for Lost.
Yeah.
The rich are getting richer here. TSM outscaling, big gold lead. and they are just looking to set up for this next dragon, very likely, which is probably some of the last hope for Cloud9. Like, yes, theoretically, there are additional plays you could go for, but, I mean, that pushes back any chance of a Cloud9 Soul to post 40 minutes if they get this next one, which is just really not tenable when you're playing against a comp that has scaling this good. You know, at that point, the death cap's going to be there, all the items are going to be there for Cog, and your chances of winning are just so slim.
All right, looking for the next miracle play, looking for the next big push in for Cloud9. They did not lose any inhibitors, so as the Baron buff is timed out, they theoretically have the equal push on any lane if they can swing it. Difficulty being the gold difference, obviously, and that means that it's almost certainly going to be TSM 50. You see Lost playing as far up as Spica is. He knows he has the ability to get out, has the, as you mentioned, stopwatch bot up, but flash and heal up as well.
Here they go.
Shirley is popped. Here comes the fight. Spica frontlining. King has to go back over the wall. Vulcan forced to flash away. They almost kill Volibear, but not just yet. Now Blabber walks back in, but he's not easily going to stay alive. Burns his own stopwatch, but he's going to be left to the wolves. He does not live. Burns the flash. It doesn't matter. And back in goes Power of Evil, nearly shutting down the support of Vulcan. Won't find that just yet. Spica back to healthy, by the way, getting so much of his health bar back. And King can try to poke. He can try a bit of the wave clear. Mid lane hitter definitely gone.
I mean, they could just take double inhib here. They could just move up towards top. Blabber's still dead. And Cloud9 going to have a hell of a time fighting their way out of this. But if TSM wants to take the more risk-averse approach, just back it up. I say secure the dragon. Because if you lose a fight in Cloud9's base, they get the dragon. They get the potential of a soul. So I think this is smart for TSM. Just take incremental advantages. You are not the ones on the clock. You have the game in your hands. So play it smart, play it safe. This is the kind of style that you want to see with this composition. They will grab the dragon. They will delay any chance of a soul for Cloud9. They don't need the soul themselves to really close this one out. So just grabbing more and more items here. The completions are coming through. You know, a lot of their core members are already at 3 items. You can see Huni's on 3, Power of Evil's on 3, Ez is lost. And we can watch this fight one more time. They just don't really have the damage unless you find that big pick. And as soon as the Scatter of the Week is used, TSM just go for the engage because Perkz doesn't have his key pick tool. That was a really well-timed ult onto Spica to actually keep him alive from the Ezreal ulti. Then Huni just kicks in Blabber. You notice Power of Evil, great job zoning. He actually dropped the ulti on the corridor that Cloud9 were kiting back in towards. So Cloud9 have no ability to then re-engage and reinforce their jungler when he was in that stasis. And that is just really good zone control textbook stuff from one of the best control mage players in the league.
Absolutely the case. So doing a good job of supporting the bit. It is funny how we've talked about the Kog'Maw so much. He's the lowest KP on his team. He's just 2-0-1.
Yep.
TSM, honestly, doing really well everywhere, to be honest.
Absolutely.
But they were hard winning the lane. They got all 5 turret plates. Like, he's been the insurance policy. And Cloud9 just have been unable to wedge open top. Speaking so much, have Huni win. Huni's been a big part of the picks that have gotten them the Barons and everything else. And now we might see Cloud9 try again. Baron is alive. Both teams have 2 Drakes. And still, the top jungle is the area of contention. True Shot Barrage hits 0. Splits the uprights. King of 3-point shots, maybe.
I mean, it's this weird situation when you're playing against Cog, where it's like, Cog doesn't have to carry for TSM to win, but he has to be dead for C9 to win, right? Like, he has to be out of there, because you will never win in the extended team fight where the Cog is untouched. It's just not going to happen. And now TSM on the Baron again here. Power of Evil zoning, Huni in position. It's 2 men on the Baron, and they're trying to force the hand. They want C9 to hard commit, and then they will likely turn for the fight here, but Power of Evil is very sectioned off.
Huni kicks in. Goodbye to Syndra. Beautifully done, and now the rest of them will fall. 3-0 TSM. Get out of here, Cloud9. Lost is ready to chase him down. Huni there for good measure. Blabber ults. Does it matter? Of course it does not. 4-0 TSM in the fight, and it's time to walk it down mid.
What a kick! Huni around the Baron has been pure magic for TSM, finding Perkz both times. The critical member, he's going in, he wants the kills.
Flash in for the ace for the KDA. Not going to find any more of that one, but certainly these Nexus turrets are dropping rapidly. Second one's going to fall as well. Cloud9 will not find the defense. They wanted to win through top, but it was TSM who did it. Huni, magical in every single team fight. The Nexus falls. They gotta feel good about this one. They take their time. Huni, magnificent play today as TSM retains sole control of first place.
And those kicks on Perks, especially the second one, was sick. You know, that is really the nail in the coffin. Because Perks is the only guy who really has a shot of, he finds that miracle team fight where he one-shots the victory, one-shots the Kog'Maw. Maybe they have a chance, but it felt like Cloud9 never even got off the ground on this one. You know, they drafted for early game dominance. They drafted a composition that really has no shot in the 5v5. They couldn't get ahead. It was about Spica. It was about Huni, proactive on that top side, attacking the Jace, getting the kills, and Cloud9 winning through bottom lane as well. The 2v2 was going great for them there, very far ahead. And it just felt like they made all the plays when they needed to. They didn't overforce where they didn't. Yes, Power of Evil was behind in his 1v1, but Perks was shut down by incredible kicks from Huni in the 5v5s when it mattered. And TSM are so happy about this. They have been looking really good in summer, getting better and better. And you can tell how well they're all getting along. Like, they've been actually really vocal about that. All these other teams making roster swaps. TSM is just chilling hard, having fun, playing some League of Legends, memeing about the swaps, and they're looking damn good on stage.
They're looking very good. Hey, they've dropped 2 games, right? 7-2 so far in the summer split, but 7-2 is the best anyone has done right there. It's TSM and 100 Thieves, the 2 teams with that record of the last 9 games. Those are the teams that I have my eyes on. They're looking outstanding, really. TSM just fully deserving this one. Player of the game votes overall go to Spica. I know it was a split vote because I saw some Huni votes as well, but Spica, I think, really, really well deserved as well, to be clear. A big part of why top lane went as well as it did. He was everywhere on the map also. So you know, huge, just, you know, beautiful plays out of this Volibear, honestly. Got a lot done. The smites are on point, so 2 thumbs up.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, to me, you know, I was almost more in the Huni camp, but it's one of those things where it's like, what do you value most? Do you value the consistent play who creates the lead, or who then has those bigger plays? You know, is that the more game-changing thing?
Yeah.
Huni obviously had some incredible kicks that, to me, shut the door on any chance of a Cloud9 comeback, but if Spica wasn't there to get him into a position where he was winning in topside, maybe he can't make those plays. And I think Spica really was deserving of credit. You know, we talked a lot about how Cloud9, you got to get ahead. Cloud9, you got to snowball these leads. Blabber, you got to be crushing it in the early game jungle. Spica got way more done, right?
He did.
And he is very deserving of the credit for that. Him and Huni on the top side, putting the Jace behind, felt like it shut the door on any chance of a split push for Cloud9. He was great in the team fights, won the smites when he needed to, and honestly, nothing to criticize from Spica this game. He's just been great.
It's actually one of my favorite things that has happened for the summer split is the jungle camps being pushed back 15 seconds. I mean, maybe it was players over prioritizing hardcore in the first place, but the better junglers are not the ones who are up in farm. It's not the ones who are just cycling the camps every 2:15 when they come back up. It's the ones who are getting stuff done in the lanes. I remember you called it out, like, okay, well, Spica's got more, or
Blabber had 30
Blabber
CS
had more farm, and it's like, who cares? Volibear won the top lane. Better jungler wins in this case. Like, he got more done.
Absolutely. I mean, in that case, if that's your win condition, it doesn't matter if Volibear is behind because Jace isn't doing anything.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if St. Giles gold because he's still in a Kog'Maw on the team fight. So well done, TSM. What a great game. We're going to head over to the stage where Tigers is talking with the TSM bot lane that is both Sword Art and Lost in our Verizon postgame interview.
Thank you, Fareeq. Going into this game, we had a lot of time to talk about the composition, so I want to start right there with you, Lost. We saw the Kog'Maw Lulu bot lane come out. We had PoE on some comfort in the mid lane. Why was this the draft here against C9 today?
I think just across the whole world, there's a lot of Lulu and Karma Prow, and they left up Lulu for us today. So I think naturally we first picked it, and the best champion to go with Lulu is Kog'Maw, in my opinion. So I think this was a very comfortable matchup for us to play in, and we got the free scale into mid-late game. So I think, yeah, just a pretty good matchup for us.
And that did mean for you, Sword Art, that you had to play less of the Leona and Rel, this time going on to the Lulu. I've heard that it is a joke in the LPL that a lot of Lulus like to face check because of that. How was it switching over for you?
I think that it's not that hard to play the game because Spica helped me do the vision a lot. And also our coaching staff work really hard to help us play better in mid and late game. So it makes me easier to play mid-late game, even if I not play the tank support.
Yeah, everyone in the mid and late game from TSM as a whole were playing together so well. Lost a lot of that seemed to be from even Spica being able to track Blabber when it came to the game. How much of that was a focus to make sure that he stayed out of it?
I think C9 do play around Blabber's timings a lot, so I think that kind of played into a big reason as to why we came out victorious today. So yeah, big props to our team for setting up well in terms of our team fights, how we executed throughout the game. So I'm glad I got the boys with me.
And the boys are still in that #1 spot for TSM because of this victory. Swordart, what has it been like, TSM holding on to that spot here in summertime?
I think, when I came to here, I also wish that we can make LCS region have more impactful in international stage, and also because play at LCS is really different feeling. Yeah, because I have to communicate with another language, and also I have to understand each of my player, what's their play style. So I think play at here is really, I need to improve a lot, and also I trust my teammates, so I think we can play better a lot.
Well, TSM as a whole working on that trust, on that development since you arrived, lost. Now that we are a bit deeper into the season, how much do you feel TSM has evolved from the start back in spring until now?
I think in most of our victories or just recent games, we're still looking a little shaky. We're not kind of blowing out the games and making it so like we're an extremely dominant team right now. Obviously, we'd like for it to be that way, but I think that just shows we still have a lot of room to improve.
We're always here to track the improvement, but also the W's for TSM. Congratulations again to both of you on the victory.
Thank you very much.
We're going to continue breaking down this game on the other side of the break, so for more on TSM versus Cloud9, stay tuned.
Decorative towel.
There was a mess. I wiped up a mess.
Yeah, you
Where is the box? Never mind, I found it.
When game day is a go, there's a Bud Light there.
Hello, welcome to Neighborhood Tactics presented by State Farm. We're actually going to take a look at a run of play just from the TSM C9 game. So we'll load it up here. We're going to see this topside gank where Spica goes in for Huni. We have, they get the kill onto Fudge before Perks is able to come up, and both Blabber and Perks are here. They're able to get this kill onto Huni, but what's kind of important is what happens next, because during this entire time, PoE, as we know, is not the type of mid laner to end up, you know, maybe leaving lane all that much. But what this means is as Victor, who's already kind of ahead, he gets to shove up mid. Vulcan comes up to try to stop his back, but that means that Sword Art and Lost get to hammer away at this turret as Lulu Cog. It's a really short run of play, but I do think that it matters a lot in terms of TSM were already able to get some of these advantages, like early to mid game, where they wouldn't necessarily have been able to get them otherwise. And I thought it was a good run of play for them, a good amount of coordination, and also kind of showcased the team's general style, especially with PoE on something like a Victor. And now I'll toss it to Dash and the analyst desk.
Well, thank you very much. As you mentioned, it is a small sequence of play, but very much the reason why TSM was able to come out on top. And I just think it's cool to be able to, you know, put it out to people what it looks like when you put pressure on one side of the map. But really the advantages come in the other, you know, areas on the map from a macro perspective.
And it's really important for that team comp too. That's really the only lane with any priority in playmaking for TSM. So you get that play, C9's forced to play reactive and catch up, and the pressure just kind of slowly ekes out a bot lane and allows them to start grabbing turret plates.
Yeah, and we were talking about this before when we broke down the draft. You know, this is a situation where C9 kind of drafted themselves into a corner where they had too much AD, and then they end up having to play a control mage mid in Syndra. Ideally, what you want is a situation where you're drafting Xin, and you have priority in the lanes, and you're the ones being proactive, but because they weren't able to create the early game advantages that they need.
That's how TSM got the win today. You can see here as we take a look at the standings as a whole, they are currently in sole hold of first place. Tied in summer split record, though, alongside 100 Thieves through that first round robin, and that brings me to why I have you two on the desk with me now. We began the conversation, which was rudely interrupted and stopped by Mark in the previous segment, around who is the top team in the league. 100 Thieves was one of the teams in that conversation, but as TSM takes down Cloud9, one of the others that sat up there in the top four, Kaizen, I think we're kind of narrowing down towards two, and my question still remains, who is the top team in the league?
So the top team in the league, not named CLG, is 100 Thieves. And let me talk about why.
Okay.
I do think TSM looks really, really good when they're in comfort. When they're in these comps where PoE can just play Orianna Victor, they get bot lanes like Lulu Cog. All they have to do is get to late game. I think TSM is really strong there. That said, when I think about who is going to win in a best-of-5 situation, I value the flexibility that 100 Thieves has. They showed us the Orianna look, the Karma look, the Akali look, a Lee Sin look where they're able to swap lanes. So that really matters when you get deep into a best-of-5 and people start reading your style and banning out key picks. I also think that the fact that 100 Thieves is so potent early game means that they can dictate the pace a lot more than I think TSM typically does. When we've seen TSM try to play aggressively, Lucian was not working at all. And I think at this point, I'm glad they abandoned the Lucian experiment. They did look a little bit better with like the LeBlanc. We saw a bit of Viego as well. But generally speaking, I think TSM looks best when they're actually reacting rather than proactive. And I'll take the more proactive, flexible team every time.
God, this is why I just
What
can't
you got?
trust you.
Yeah.
He thinks 100 Thieves is the best team. But I also actually agree. I think,
Mark, you're so smart.
I mean, you hit most of the points I would agree with about the flexibility and the proactivity, which I highly value, especially in this meta when so many teams are playing the 4 melee dive comps, which doesn't seem to be TSM's wheelhouse. But what I will say for TSM, to give them a little bit more credit, is I would rather them do this. Do what you're good at. Perfect your play style. Find the second and third option, because when teams start banning out Victor, Lulu's probably going bot for the Cog Lulu. If you double band out control mages against PoE, what happens? And that's the kind of questions I want TSM answering rather than can we play Lucian? Like, I want them to hone in on this style because it's going to work out better in the end when you really look at it.
Okay, I don't necessarily disagree with the point, but I do want to play a little devil's advocate and toss it over to you because that, to me, works in contradiction to why you said you feel 100 Thieves is the top team because of their versatility, their ability to play multiple playstyles. So is that not what TSM needs to do to become the best? Or they are just a different team and the way they become the best is to do one thing superior?
Yeah, so I think that TSM actually does need to get a more proactive look, and I like that they've experimented with Lucian, even though they had to abandon it. I like that they experimented with LeBlanc. Let's see more of that. But overall, like, I think TSM looks. If the goal is to place top 3 in the split, play your style, right? You know, keep drafting Lulu, Cog, control mage mid. But if you want to take first over a team like 100 Thieves or even C9 at peak strength, which is not what we're seeing from them right now, I do think we need to have more versatility in the kit.
Smallest of small things. We got more games to get to.
100 Thieves also still need to clean up their early game. Don't forget that top side sequence when they all died under turret for no reason.
Okay.
There
we go. We got 2 teams currently vying for that top spot, while TSM does have a hold of it for now. We're going to a break. When we come back, it's FlyQuest versus Immortals. We'll see you here.
Welcome back to the State Farm Analyst Desk. It's another beautiful summer day in the studio, and as we prepare for the face-off between FlyQuest and Immortals, it is time to sink or swim, because class is in session. Welcome back to Divers Ed, Summer School Edition. I have my esteemed panel of judges on the desk ready to rate our curated selection of dives, so here's how it's gonna work. I will show my panel a play and break down the action, and then they will draw on their expertise and rate the dive out of 10, okay?
Okay.
You ready?
Yes.
Ready as ever.
0.
Oh. High expectations set by Emily.
Like the whole league is 0.
All right. Anyway, we got our first dive. This is courtesy of IMT, the dredge line securing the kill onto Vulcan, and under the guise of the paranoia insanity, straight into the center of C9. Explosive cast follow up from Xerxes, and it is the double dunk of the heads under the water from Revenge. Judges.
Okay, I gotta say, I like the start of this dive. You know, they're doing a good job snowballing. They're able to commit to the dive. I think a lot of teams might have backed off here, but I like the decision to keep going in. The one mistake I gotta highlight is Raze with the buster shot away on Perks, but other than that, I was pretty impressed.
All right.
I love that how the whole team follows up on Insanity too, because sometimes you can have your Nocturne kind of going in and no one follows up. So I'm gonna give it an 8. Oh wow, okay, I'm the tough one.
I give it a solid 9. I just realized I don't have a 10 on mine.
You gotta go a 1-0.
It's a 1 and a 0.
We can combo together now.
Yeah, 99.
Yeah. I agree though. You know, if they got the Perks kill, I'm giving it a 10.
Yeah.
No such thing as a perfect play here.
Oh, okay. That's what we're saying.
All right,
Cool.
we got another one though. This one comes from the side of FlyQuest. It was a bit of an icy entrance from Jose de Oro, but it was a true pool party. Once we got the double TP, Someday is the first to exit this party. Abadage all alone in the deep end, about to sink like a rock into the water. But it is after he sinks that the lifeguard closer finally shows up to the party, just to face the same demise. I call that a bit of a party foul here, but I'll leave it up to my judges.
Okay. The big thing with this is, you know, it starts off well. Like, I'll give FlyQuest credit for the first part, but they could not have expected for all of 100T to just go in one by one and die.
I think that's what I was going to say is the difficulty of executing on this dive is not that high because it was really one dive done 3 different times. It was 3v1 3 times versus, you know, like a 4v3 dive where you have to mechanically outplay them. This was, you know, 100 Thieves playing nice, giving them a layup a little bit.
Oh, you guys are mean. You can only take the opportunities you're given,
so sick.
and they execute it perfectly.
Whoa!
Another 9.
If you went upside, you were going to have
Yeah, this does.
The devil.
Over a little
Do
bit there.
that? Ooh, spooky.
Yeah.
Guys, I appreciate you sticking to your guns, though, there, keeping
He's
it
the
at
softy
9.
judge.
Yeah, that's a softy, you know.
It goes
wanna-
from like a softest to hardest, I guess.
Yeah, you're that teacher that's always giving everybody the high score.
It was an easy dive done well.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, the next one is a bit short and sweet. Happens in the shallow end of the bot lane, courtesy of IMT. A little sign that the waters are nice for entry as Ray's rocket jumps in to secure the kill here.
This is the kind of classic 80 carry left on weak side while the rest of the team does stuff, caught under turret, dies. It's a staple of the diving school. Like, everyone has to learn this dive to be able to execute it.
All right.
So you're saying it's another basic dive done well.
Yeah, but I would say there was less help by the enemy team.
Yeah, exactly. I'm giving it a 7 only because, you know, it's a pretty basic play, but God, guys.
Look,
They did execute it well.
It's a clean ass dive. I don't know what to tell you.
I agree.
Okay.
So if you all teach a summer course, I know
What is not
How about a
what
dive
is
where they
this?
actually make mistakes and they die?
That's it.
All right.
That's the only way to get lower than a 9.
To make a mistake, yeah.
Kaizen wins the instructor. He's the best judge on this panel. With all of that being said, though, let's hand it over to the sweetest duo to grace our presence. It is Pastry comes for the cast.
These all 9s.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back. We've got Immortals taking on FlyQuest in just a second. But before we jump into Champ Select, we've been fortunate enough to have lots of LCS fans popping off about the matches on social media. And also, we've just had tons of fun featuring some of that on the broadcast as well. So just a thank you for all your incredible posts on socials and generally just being such a cool community. We've picked one fan to receive a Kone mouse and Vulcan keyboard from our peripherals partner Rocket. And this time, Crumbs, the fan responded to us.
He wants the free stuff.
All
Come
right.
and get it.
So congrats to Noah is your boy on your new peripherals, and thanks again to all of you out there we've been able to feature on our show. You are the many we are made by as we get ourselves into FlyQuest versus Immortals.
Yes, and this is a matchup that has serious implications for the momentum of these teams because FlyQuest currently is in an 0-2 situation. You do not want to have those 0-3 weeks, whereas Immortals, yes, they did start the split with that 3-0. They dropped a lot of games in week 2, but this time around, they have the momentum as if they actually were 2-0, about to finish a 3-0 week. They lost that game against TSM by the narrowest of margins. That backdoor that Huni had, TSM with a great week, they finished out 3-0. That was the win that took the wind out of the sails out of Immortals' perfect 3-0 repetition. So I think that this roster of IMT is really finally getting their game together. If they can prove that they can take a win here, they're really showing that that week where they dropped a lot of games might have just been a blip in the radar.
Yeah, INT aren't quite the, was it odd weeks only, Echo Fox? They only went 2-0, 0-2. I think that was the team. But they do have a little bit of that like inconsistency about them, right? But I agree with you. IMT don't feel like they're very many steps away from finding their footing and just going on a run, right? Maybe you go on a 6-game streak. Maybe you go like 4-2 or 5-1, right? It does feel like this is a team that is maybe set to leapfrog themselves in the standings as they increase in power. So definitely a good test for them here up against FlyQuest. See if they can continue to show off their pretty fast-paced gameplay. If you tuned in yesterday, Rumble Nautilus, though, banned by FlyQuest, and Gwen, understandably, banned by IMT.
Yeah, FlyQuest has been very quick to pick up the new champion.